Okay, I'm just testing it here, seeing like the background, see if it checks out. Hello, 3, 2, 1. Hi everyone, my name is Aurora, and I wanted to do a sit down quick chat video on how I was able to get my dual citizenship here in Mexico City. If you guys do not follow me on Instagram or TikTok, I'll have it up on the screen and also in the description down below if you guys want to follow me there and see fun little in the moment spur in the moments. And usually I should probably post more content here on YouTube as well, but today I just want to do a quick little story time on how I was able to get my dual citizenship, and this will be like the full story. I don't know, to be more detailed about it, and I'll post one on TikTok, just like the quick watered down Cliff Notes version, but this will be just like beginning, middle, end, the fun stuff, you know? Okay, so let's begin with the process of how was I able to get my dual citizenship. So I was able to get my dual citizenship via birthright of parent. So my dad was born and raised in Mexico and went to the US with my mom and got married, had me, and then I had my brother. But they had my brother. So anyways, so that's how I was able and qualified to go ahead and get my dual citizenship. And growing up, ever since I was a kid, I always wanted, you can see my calendar. Anyways, growing up, I always wanted to have dual citizenship, and I always wanted to learn Spanish when I had the time. So, so growing up, I was able to speak a little bit of Spanish, and then we moved, and I lost my Spanish, and now I'm back to learning Spanish. And I did some Spanish in high school, and after I graduated college, I thought I had a pathway for a career or a job like out of college. I was still working at my barista job, and my dad was just saying like, hey, this is the perfect time, you know, if you want to learn Spanish and speak Spanish, this is the perfect time to do that. And so I'm currently learning Spanish at Cepe Unam, and I will do a different video on that here on YouTube as well, of talking about what I did, what was the process, fun stuff like that. So yes, let's go ahead and get to the idea of getting the birth certificate, not dual citizenship. So obviously after the 2024 presidential election, I knew this is now or never to go ahead and get that dual citizenship. So December of 2024, I was in Colorado because that's where I'm raised. That's where my parents are as well. And so we decided to go ahead and look at the Denver consulate to see what the process is, what they can do, what we can do. And so we were filling out the forms, and it was the consulate was being a bit too harsh, I felt like, on me, because the one thing is that growing up, my dad was never able to get a Mexican passport. So it was like, I never had a Mexican passport, so at the consulate was saying like, oh, we need your dad's passport. I kind of felt like I had to explain, like, my dad never really had a passport before, so what can I do, you know? And so that was a hard time. And then January of 2025, I went to Mexico City, but I was still trying to find a way to go ahead and get my citizenship as well. And thankfully, I have family here in Mexico City, so they were helping me, and was able to get my dad's a new updated version of my dad's birth certificate in Arcos de Belén in Mexico City. So we had that, and my thea was like, oh, there's an email here and we can go ahead. So you can make an appointment. So I emailed to make an appointment, and that was in March of 2024. March of 2024, I emailed to Arcos de Belén saying like, hey, my dad is in Mexico and I want to get my Mexican citizenship. Can I make an appointment? This is also the same time when I was able to finally get contact from someone in the Denver Mexican consulate. So I was able to talk to him, and I told the guy at the consulate, I'm like, hey, it says that my dad needs a Mexican passport. My dad never really had a Mexican passport. What can I do? And the guy was saying like, oh, and if he has a driver's license, that would work. And I was like, oh, okay. Because also, as he called me, I had an email from Arcos de Belén saying that I had an appointment. Had an appointment for May of 2025. I'm not really sure what date it was, but I had the date. So I was like, yay, great, love that. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I talked to the guy in the consulate, and I made an appointment for the consulate as well, and it was the day before Arcos de Belén. So I'm like, wait a minute, which one's better? So I called the guy in the consulate. I'm like, hey, to be like so honest, like, which one is better? the one here in Mexico City because I'm already here in Mexico City or in Denver. He recommended just go to the one in Mexico City because that's where you're at. So that's pretty much the background leading up to the appointment, and this is the stuff that I needed to bring as well. So the stuff that I needed to bring, so obviously if it's going to be through birthright of parent, I had my dad's Mexican birth certificate. I had my birth certificate, and also since my birth certificate, I was born in the US, I needed my birth certificate translated to Spanish. Then also, since if you're going through Mexico, you do need a proof of address. I'm like, I don't have an address because I've been staying in Airbnbs, but I have family, so, and I also had a friend let me use her address. And so I was talking to to Arcos de Belén. They're like, oh, turns out like it's not really necessary in your case, but I still had an address. Just have that in mind. Just keep that with you. What else did I have? That's pretty much it. I also had copies of my passport just in case. And I was also following so that's what happened. Also, so in April of 2025, I went back home to celebrate Semana Santa with my family. And so while we're there, we're like, oh, maybe we can go ahead to the Mexican consulate and see if they just do, it says they take walk-ins. So my dad and I were like completely ready, dressed, ready to go get my Mexican citizenship, but they were closed for Semana Santa. But I had everything ready. So I just followed the procedures to have for going to the Mexican consulate. So I followed with Arcos de Belén. So I had my dad's birth certificate, my birth certificate. I did 2 copies of that, 2 copies of mine, copies of my dad's driver's license, his passport, copies of my driver's license, his passport. Also, I was just making sure that like I had copies and I was like ready to go. And so April, that didn't go. So we had, well, at least I have my May appointment. May rolls around and I was searching and quickly trying to find someone to help me translate my birth certificate, and somehow I ended up going on a website that can help translate my things to Spanish. So when the appointment came, I had to be there bright and early at 9 o'clock in the morning when they first opened. So that happened, and that happened. I'm trying to think. Anyways, that happened. I had all my forms out, and the guy was just not really on my side that day. And he saw that he saw my birth certificate, looked in the back, and he goes, oh, it needs to be signed by the Mexican consulate in the state you were born, which is Washington State. And I was in Colorado. I'm like, what? And I had my friend with me, and she was kind of helping me like as my translator as well. And she was like, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, why is there a need for just like, that's ridiculous. That's plain nonsense. What do you mean? And then he's also being mad that my translation of my birth certificate, they found out that it was an American company, and they got mad saying that it has to be by someone approved by the Mexican government. And I'm like, okay, so I had pictures. I think I still have pictures. I'm not quite sure if I do. I'll have it flashed up on the screen. If you are looking for the process, you can screenshot it if you're in Mexico. Also, so the guy just literally basically just sent me back home. He was like, okay, bye. I go, okay, so I immediately emailed Arcos de Belén to say, like 30 minutes after. I'm like, can I make an appointment immediately? And my friend and I were immediately contacting people immediately for the translation, how much it cost. So yeah, some of them were like very expensive. Some of it was like 1,000 pesos. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like, that's quite, no. So I was able to find someone and I got my email. They're like, okay, so July 29th is the day for your appointment at noon. I go, perfect. Love that. So that happened, and I had everything ready. My dad's birth certificate, my birth certificate copies. I had everything. I had my translation birth certificate approved. Copies of that, literally copies of everything. I had everything printed. I filled out all the forms, and then the day comes, and we have the same guy who denied me for the first time around, and so online he lets me in. So that was like the first round. The second round was just waiting in line for person to go ahead and read my stuff. They were looking at my paperwork, and so I'm waiting in line. My friend, I also have the same friend with me, and we're waiting, walking around. And the thing is, so that was approved, and then I had printed out a form that I needed to pay, and when it came to printing out the form, turns out that was the wrong one, so we had to go to someone to print out the form and pay at an auction. So there was an auction right nearby, but we had to pay in cash, not in card. I can't really remember how much it was, but I think roughly it was like 87 USD to pay for the form to get my certificate. And I came back, showed them the receipt that I paid, and I had to just verify the translation that she just copied from all the documents into this one inscription, and made sure like everything was okay and signed. She goes, okay, you did it. I'm like, oh, that was super easy. I just signed, and you get your inscription. And I thought that was my birth certificate. And so while I was in the process, immediately after, this is what you would do after in Mexico. Sorry. Okay, yay, you finally have your Mexican citizenship, and now it is time to get down to business on things you need to do. One, obviously, you need to go ahead and get your INE, your passport, and also set up your Llave account. I highly recommend setting up your Llave account first. So with your Llave account, you're going to go ahead and just sign up, and you need to have a Mexican phone number, which I did not have, and I ended up having to get a SIM card, but I have an eSIM, and my Theo was actually getting rid of his old phone, so I'm going to show y'all my second phone. I feel bougie with two phones. This is my second phone, and this has my Mexican SIM card on it, which also, I'm going to get into like a funny, quick little story. So the Mexican phone number is actually, the area code is a Colorado area code, and I'm like, that is a small world. How funny is that? Anyways, getting down to business. Have a Mexican SIM card, a Mexican phone number. Then you're going to go ahead and have an email that you use. That is your Llave. Your Llave account is how you basically make any appointments for your passport, your INE, like everything. Like your Llave account is important. Like you need to have a Llave account. So as soon as I had my Llave account, I needed to get an INE. So this will also be my process of getting my birth certificate and also my INE. So let's talk about getting the passport INE thing. So now you made the appointment to go ahead and get your passport. So anyways, I was like, oh, which would be easier and faster, get my Llave or my passport? So I thought, oh, my passport would work fine. I have my school student ID, I have my US passport, and the paperwork that I had at Arcos de Belén, I thought that was my birth certificate. That's not the case. So I made an appointment to go ahead and get my passport done and taken. And also I was realizing getting a Mexican passport is way different than the US, because one, they take your picture there. Two, you can have a duration. You can either have it for 3 years, 6 years, or 10 years. I go, whoa, but I'm getting a 10-year one because that's the same as like the US, I think. I don't know. And yeah, I was like, whoa, that's cool. And also, this is the crazy part. Because I was talking to my cousin because she had her passport. She goes, yeah, I got it the same day. You get your passport the same day. That is wild to me. Like compared to the US, I'm like, whoa. Mexico's just on a different level when it comes to that. So anyways, I asked my cousin to come with me because my Spanish is very limited. Like, she also doesn't know English, but if there's a question, she like knows what else to ask. And I made the appointment via WhatsApp, and I should have just went to online. But anyways, I went with WhatsApp, and they gave me some forms to print out, and they go, oh yeah, we're gonna send you like a confirmation email. And I never had the confirmation email. So I told my cousin, we're like, okay, we're gonna go. So I go to the passport office, and you also have to pay before anything. So we asked them like, hey, can we pay for it? And the bank is like, if you don't have a form, I can't do anything. Okay, great. So after so if you don't have a form to pay, so no. So I go to the passport office, and my cousin can't come with me. And I was told the lady, like, hey, I have an appointment, but I didn't have an email. And she was like, if you don't have an email, you can't come in. And I go, can I cancel? She's like, you're supposed to cancel 24 hours. And I go, well, I have my US passport and my school student ID. Like, can that count as my form of identification? She goes, no. And I'm obviously sad and kind of crying a little bit about this. And my cousin, thank goodness, oh my gosh, I love her for this. So my cousin, she's like, do you have an E-NAM? I'm like, I don't have an E-NAM. She's like, we're not leaving it until you get your E-NAM. Like, you didn't get your passport, we're getting your E-NAM today. Bless. Okay. So we're all, because I was like, I have an appointment for an E-NAM and it was supposed to be the 12th of September. We're going and we're reading the information, watching a YouTube video, like stuff to bring. And on this video, it says you can, if you, for identification, you can have 2 witnesses to come with you, or if you have a driver's license and a passport from a different country, that counts as a form of ID. We got perfect. So we go to one of the E-NAM offices that is nearby where we live. We go there. I show her so they take walk-ins. The security guard lets us in. I have what I think my paperwork. I have my inscription. I have copies of my passport and my driver's license. I have it ready with me in my bag at hand. The lady looks at me and she goes, this isn't a birth certificate. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, this isn't a birth certificate. So I'm like, great. Thank goodness the E-NAM office and I want to say like a courthouse, like the county courthouse type thing, was nearby. So my cousin's like, okay, we're going to go ahead and get your Mexican birth certificate. I go, perfect. So I have that and I feel bougie. We go back in a second time. The security guard knows us. He's like, because it's just me. My cousin has to wait outside. And the security, he's like, okay, just go in. I have my birth certificate. I thought I had my driver's license, everything ready. And I have a guy and he looks at me and he goes, this isn't the right paperwork. Like this, he's like, birth certificate's fine. I also had an address to print out. The guy looks at me. He looks at the form of ID and he's like, this isn't Mexican. And I'm like, well, it says on like online, like it can be from a different country. He's like, no, it has to be a Mexican. And I'm like, I have my student ID and I have my student ID. And the thing is I have a first and a middle name, first, middle, last name. And on my student ID, I did not have my middle name. And he goes, this doesn't have your middle name on it and I can't accept it. And the picture is quite literally me. And my cousin just came with me and he's like, this does not work. So you either have to have someone come, like, you can either get 2 witnesses or something else. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. So my cousin, again, she's still like, we're not leaving until you get your E-NAM. Like, you're getting your E-NAM today. And I'm like, I am getting my E-NAM today. Like, everything's working out for me. Like, and so she's like, okay, we need to get 2 witnesses. So it was my tia and my tío. They're both siblings. And my cousin, she's like, I don't have my E-NAM with me. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so she's like, we're going to go down to right by like where my cousin lives. And we're waiting for, my cousin. And I asked her with the 2 witnesses, I'm like, do they both need to be present? And she's like, I don't think so, no. So my tia comes with us. And I go again. This is the 3rd time that I'm going. I'm like, 3rd time's the charm. Like, yes, it's going to work out. And so we get a different guy. And the guy is really nice. And he's like, okay, who are these people? I'm like, oh, it's my aunt and my uncle. And he goes, is both of them here with you today? What? I'm like, no, just my aunt and my uncle. He's working. And the guy's like, I'm sorry, like, both witnesses have to be there. And so told my cousins. And my aunt is like, oh, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, oh, can we bring like your husband or like, because I have another cousin, like her son. I'm like, we can have him. And so she's like, okay, like, yeah. So she called her son and he found my cousin's E-NAM. And so he was coming down to meet with us. We're like, we're getting food. I'm like, thank God, because I'm starving. Like, I'm literally starving. I'm hungry. So we get lunch, we're chatting, and my other cousin, he comes with her E-NAM. This is the 4th time now, and the security guard knows. He's like, you know the drill, just come in. And it was the same guy who dealt with us for the 3rd time. And he's like, both witnesses are here. My both witnesses are here. I have everything. And I'm like, I have my birth certificate. I have a proof of address. That's what you need for proof of address and 2 witnesses. He's like, okay, cool. So I was sent down to like the next stage, which essentially was getting my picture, fingerprints, and also a picture and sign and stuff. And this part was this was just like an odd encounter in itself. Like I was just quite odd. And like I said, in Mexico, it's common to have 2 last names. My dad and his family only have 1 last name. So my dad was like, hey, growing up, like I was just kind of bullied for having 2 last names. And when I was getting my citizenship, I was curious, am I going to have 2 last names or 1? I only had 1 because all of my US government documents have the 1 last name that I have. So I was able to just to get my 1 last name. So when it comes to the INE, the guy looks at the stuff. Because at the Arcos de Belén, they didn't judge me. They're like, that's what it says. The guy at the INE office quite heavily looked at me and he goes, you don't have 2 last names? I go, no. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm sure. And I was like, it's common to have 1 last name in the US. He was like, oh, okay. And then he says that my first and middle name are super common here in Mexico, so it's gonna be a while. I'm like, I don't think my first and middle name is gonna, both of them are very popular. I know Aurora is probably now really famous, like pretty like well-known name. But I'm just like, bro, give me a chance. Like, can I just have my INE go? So my picture, did the fingerprints, and then I had to do my signature. And as I was doing my signature, I did like my first name, last name. I just have like, that's just how I do my signature. Like no one really judged me for it. And then he did. I'm just like quite shocked because first of all, you're going around telling me that I should have 2 last names. I'm like, bro, I don't know what to tell you. Like that's just how it is with me. The signature, I did the signatures and he's like, that's your signature? I'm like, yeah. Is it just 1 or both? I'm like, it's both. And he was like, oh, can you do it again? I'm like, bro, I'm like, it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They close at 8. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. I have my witnesses. They signed and I signed. And I pick it up the 4th of September. Oh my God, that's Beyonce's birthday. Oh, anyways, that's a quick story. And then once I get my INE, going straight to my passport appointment. I was signed into my Yave account to get my Mexican passport, but I needed to have my INE so I can fill out the numbers, and I don't have that. And I was talking to my cousin. She's like, we're going to wait until you have your passport. I'm going to wait until you have your INE. So, yes. Just thought I should share my process. If you have any comments about it, how I got my Mexican citizenship here in Mexico City, please leave it down below. I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. Yes, it's very different in the Mexican consulate. I don't know, in the Mexican consulate, you can immediately get your passport, or I think so, maybe your INE as well in the consulate. If you did get your Mexican citizenship through the consulate, how did that go? Please tell me. I'm more than happy to learn in case anyone else is learning. But yes, thank you so much for watching. Bye. It's Aurora editing here, post video. I'm gonna pop the resources that I did, such as who I emailed here in Mexico. I will also leave down the email that I did to contact Arcos de Belén. And yes, if you have any comments, questions, leave in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, the basic YouTube stuff. But anyways, bye.